Hi, I'm Brooke Gleichowski, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Beam Boldly. As an NCAA Division I gymnast, I know firsthand what it feels like to carry the weight of performance, expectations, and identity. Here, we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about mental health, performance anxiety, NIL, resilience, and of course, how faith is our foundation that carries us through all of that. Whether it's stepping onto the beam in competition or just stepping out in everyday life, we are called to live boldly, and we're called to let our light shine. The name Beam Boldly was inspired by the verse Matthew 5:16, which says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." To me, that's what this podcast is all about. So if you're ready to hear raw conversations, find strength in faith, and be reminded that you are never walking this journey by yourself, join me as we step boldly into everyday life. Hey y'all, welcome back to Beam Boldly. I'm your host, Brooke Gleichowski, and I just have to start this episode by saying thank you to each and every one of you, everyone who has listened, everyone who has shared or supported in any way. Seriously, thank you so much. Beam Boldly has been a prayer in the works for me for a long time, and it's incredible to see all that God is doing and the people that He is reaching through this platform. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for supporting and for being on this journey with me. So all that being said, today we're going to do a solo episode. And I'm excited about this because a lot of times you guys get to hear from other Christian student athletes. But today you're going to get to hear a little bit more from me and about my story. And we're going to actually be talking about a story in the Bible that I have a really personal and incredible kind of connection with. So it's going to give y'all a chance to know me and my story a little bit better. So to kind of set the stage, set this scene, last season was my first season of college gymnastics. And my favorite event is balance beam. So I went in to my first college meet, super excited to be competing beam, honestly, really confident. Of course, a little nervous, like college debut is a big deal, but it was a very much like, oh my gosh, I made it moment. And I go and I do my routine and I fall. I literally had not fallen on a single inner squat, a single like show routine all preseason. So from, what is that, August until December, I had not fallen on a single inner squat. I really did not even think that falling was like in the cards, and I fell. And I was immediately like kind of in shock of like, wait, my feet are on the floor, not on the beam. How did that just happen? What in the world? And I was super frustrated, of course, but also it was my first meet. I knew the nerves may have just kind of gotten the best of me, tried to brush it off, but in the back of my head, I was really upset because I felt like that didn't display all that I had been working for over preseason, right? And so then we go into our second meet. Once again, I get another chance to be in beam lineup, which is, a big deal after falling because a lot of times the lineup will change when things like that happen. Doesn't mean that I would never do beam again, but a lot of times they just change. So I go in, I'm like, okay, that happened before, but it won't happen again. And immediately as I mount the beam, all I can think about is the week before where I'd fallen. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, like just so nervous. And guess what? I fell again the exact same way, the exact same skill. And after that, I started spiraling. I was thrown into a spiral. I mentally was just like, what in the world is going on? I have been training these beam skills for a very long time. I'm honestly pretty confident in them. So what in the world is happening? I feel like I'm not in control of my gymnastics anymore. And I don't know what to do. Like all of a sudden, I can't do it. And I mentally went downhill. I was so in my head 24/7 after that. But I knew that the only thing I could do was go into the gym every single day, try and act like it didn't happen, and just move forward, right? Just move forward, be in the moment. Because the reason I fell the second time was because I was only thinking about the time I fell before that, right? So I'm trying to work on kind of forgetting this, just throwing it away, throwing it in the past and moving forward so that I could display what I had actually been training and working for. However, another layer of this is after falling the second time, I was like, I definitely lost all opportunity to be in lineup, right? Like, I'm not going to get another chance. For those of you that don't know, in gymnastics, only 6 girls on the team go for each event. So we have about 20 girls on the team, and the top 6 on each event go. So you have to be top 6 on balance beam to be in the lineup. And I was like, okay, I know I'm training, I guess, like I'm top 6, but then I'm not able to compete. So there's no way they're going to give me another chance. They're just going to, bring in one of the other 15 girls that hasn't gotten a chance to be in lineup. And of course, that was super upsetting because I was like, I just got to college. College was like my version of the Olympics, right? Like, this was like my I made it moment. And this had been my goal forever. So I was super frustrated, super in my head, but I knew that the only thing I could do was get in my word to learn the truth and learn what God said about times like these and keep moving forward, doing what I could do every single day to calm down, to do my gymnastics the way I know how to do my gymnastics. So our next meet after that, our third meet was against Florida. And for those of you that don't know, I'm from Gainesville, Florida. So I actually grew up a Gator, but go Dogs. And I grew up going to Gator meets. I grew up in the O-Dome for more than just gymnastics meets, for basketball games and all sorts of things. So I knew that our third meet, we were going to be in my hometown, which is going to be just so full circle, so surreal. And all I wanted to do was get to compete in that arena with all my family and friends from high school and club and just everyone that supported me from home getting to be there. But again, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get the chance. I just wasted my opportunity and I'm never going to get it again. But God always has a plan. And this following week, we actually had a couple girls get sick. Really unfortunate, but it happens in gymnastics season. The weather's cold, all that stuff. So my coach, she came up to me and she reminded me that she believed in me and that she trusted me and that I was going to get to be in lineup again for a third time, even after falling my first 2 times. So I am like, oh my gosh, I better make this count. And it's in front of all my friends and family. So I'm like, okay, there's pressure, but there's a lot of excitement because, like, yes, I get to do this, but oh my gosh, I can't do the same thing 3 times in a row, right? So I am just, again, just getting in my head. It feels like a constant battle in my head of, the positive little girl on my shoulder that's like, you got this, Brooke. This is going to be awesome. You get to be in your hometown. How fun. And then there's that really mean girl that's like, you're going to fall again. How are you going to do this? You don't know how to compete. You might as well just tell them to give up your spot. You don't deserve this. You shouldn't be confident. And it is just a constant battle between these 2 little girls on my shoulder. And I remember the night before the meet, I read my Bible like I normally do, and I just went to bed super peacefully. I was like, I'm going to get a good night's rest and set myself up for success in the morning, right? So I go to sleep. I have a dream that I have never experienced before, but it was actually so incredible. And like, God is just so cool. And it just like makes me giddy thinking about how cool this is. So that night I go to sleep and I have a dream of the David and Goliath story. And I'm going to read that story for you guys in case you've never read it before. Okay. So just to very simply set the scene for this story, we have David who is fighting for the Israelites. And David is not a warrior. He did not grow up fighting. He was actually a shepherd, which means that he took care of the sheep and he protected them and he guided them and all of those things. And then David is against Goliath, who is a giant, like a literal giant. So Goliath is representing the Philistines and David is representing the Israelites. And now a lot of people did not want David to go forward because they were like, this dude, first of all, he's a young boy. He's very small. It's not like he's at least, 7 foot. And he's going against an actual giant who is huge and who has been fighting and been trained to be a warrior since he was young. So even Saul, who was the king of the Israelites, told David, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior since his youth." So even the king is like, "Dude, David, I do not think you should go out there." And this is David's response to Saul. He says, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth." And then skipping down a couple verses, David says, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." And to that, Saul's response to David was, "Go, and the Lord will be with you." So David basically convinces Saul, like, "Hey, I have been training for this, not like a regular warrior, but I have had to defend myself and all my sheep from lions and bears. And how could I do that without the help of the Lord? So if the Lord is going to help me there, he's going to help me here," is essentially what David is saying. And then I want to read you the scripture of when David actually meets Goliath and what he says to him. So David says, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down." So David is saying, like, "Hey, Goliath, I know you have all those fancy swords and you are literally a giant already. You could probably just pick me up and throw me down with one hand. But I have the Lord on my side, and that is going to overcome all of it." And then a couple verses down, David also says, "All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." So then David runs to the battle line, and he is face to face with Goliath, and this is what happens. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck Goliath on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. First of all, wow. Once again, David, this young boy, not a trained soldier by any means, literally takes out a stone and hits Goliath right in the perfect spot on his forehead to kill him, to defeat him, to make him fall face first on the ground. That is not normal, right? Like, none of us could easily do that on our own today. It is only by God's goodness, his strength, and his guidance that David was able to take down Goliath. So, going back to this dream I have of the David and Goliath story, in my dream, I was David, and I was facing this giant. And for me, this giant was all of these negative thoughts in my head. It was that mean girl that was sitting on my shoulder and just feeding me lie after lie after lie. And it was the idea of competing in front of a huge crowd in my hometown after having messed up twice before already on a big stage. And I remember waking up the next morning with so much peace. I felt like I could breathe again. I felt like my shoulders were down. And my entire goal of the day was to be present and to enjoy what I was doing. Because when are you going to get those moments back? It was already just coincidental enough that I got to go back to my hometown my freshman year of college to compete in the place that I had been in, like, growing up my entire life. And immediately I felt the Lord give me so much peace. But I also woke up knowing, oh my gosh, I need to go read the David and Goliath story because I don't know the details. And yes, I had this vision in my dream that I was defeating this giant, but what does that mean? And I actually have a couple sticky notes that I found in my Bible from this exact day. And so I just want to read you what I woke up and wrote after reading this story. "Just as the Lord equipped David to fight Goliath, he has equipped me to take on today, no matter the challenge. He has equipped me to overcome as long as I believe and have great faith in him." And then the other two verses that stuck out to me were 1 Samuel 17:47 that says, "The battle is the Lord's, not my own." And then 1 Samuel 17:37 that says, "Go and the Lord will be with you." And in that moment, I just knew that all I had to do was go, be present, enjoy where I was, and invite God into it because he was already there and he had already fought the battle. He already overcame the battle. There's nothing left for me to fight. All I needed to do was believe in him, trust him, and accept his presence into the place, the arena, my routine, my heart, all of it. And so back to being at the meet finally. If you guys don't know, when you're an away team, you actually end on beam. So I knew it was going to be the last event of the night, and I was put in the 6th spot. So I was going to be the last person on beam going. So I was the last routine for Georgia. And I got up there again, nervous, but with so much peace. And I remember specifically hearing my teammates louder than my own voice. And that was a really special moment for me, knowing that, okay, my voice in my head can silence a little bit because I know that the Lord is giving my teammates voice right now, and he's giving them words of confidence and positivity to feed into me right now. And I remember hearing them so clearly say things like, "You got this, be confident." And sometimes you get on the beam and you don't hear anything. Everything just goes silent and you're just like locked in on that 4-inch piece of wood, right? But this time specifically, I could really hear my teammates and I leaned into that and I listened. And I ended up doing the best routine I did all season. I got my career high of a 995. I stuck my dismount and everything. It was one of the most special moments that I will remember forever. But I literally cannot sit here and say that it happened for any other reason other than the Lord's kindness, his strength. I'm so glad that I went through that struggle the weeks prior because it led me closer to him. It led me to have this dream and this vision of this biblical story and relate it to my personal life, to my everyday life, to the thing that I was currently facing. And that was one of the coolest, most amazing God moments that I have ever had. And I just remember thinking after the meet, like, wow, God, thank you. All of the glory of this routine, all the attention it gets, likes, comments, whatever, like I want it to somehow point back to you, God. Thank you for showing me that you equipped me every single day to face these challenges. So I hope this story is inspiring to you guys, and maybe you can think of something that you're facing right now that might be your Goliath. And I hope that this is a good reminder that God is equipping you, but you still have to believe and you have to have great faith in him. And if you guys want to go read this story on your own throughout the week, maybe just sit or wrestle with it, see how it applies to your life. It's in 1 Samuel 17. So I hope this episode was inspiring for you guys. I know I love talking about this just because every single time I'm reminded of how good and how faithful and how awesome God is. It's just such a cool story. But I would love for you guys to join the community group at connect.beingboldly.com so that I can hear what challenges you're facing, maybe talk to you guys about what the Goliath is in your life, so that I can be praying for you guys and so that you guys can take down whatever your Goliath is. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can continue on this journey with me, and I'll see y'all next time.